the kingdom of Tyre and the old world.
The book of Ezekiel contains a description of a person known as the king of Tyre. Despite the fact that the king of Tyre was a real historical figure, the Bible's account of him seems to go well beyond this human leader. It refers to the Tyrrhenians and their glorious cities around the world. The old world buildings and cities which have been demolished by the spawn of a lesser star. Though Ezekiel was speaking about the real king of Tyre at the time, he seemed to shift into the distant past with an account of Lucifer's first fall. Tyre's prince is featured in the first part, while Tyre's king is featured in the second part. When you look closely, you can see that the prince of Tyre was a mortal even though he claimed to be immortal. He was clearly a mortal chosen of the gods and goddesses, the chosen one who would go on to eventually becoming a god. Tyre's king, on the other hand, was unmistakably immortal. This chapter gives us a glimpse into Lucifer's workings. We have a mortal ruler, the Prince of Tyre, and an immortal ruler, the King of Tyre, behind him in the unseen realm. The mortal ruler is a proxy, the chosen one, the Kephazat Haderech, whose movements are dictated by strings from the unseen realm. When you start to see this truth, history and politics take on a whole new meaning. Tyre's ancient beginnings are confirmed by Isaiah as from days of old. Tyre means rock, which is a fitting explanation for the original stonemasons. Tyre flourished as a marine metropolis and a bustling economic center in ancient times. The world's famous purple dye was the area's most important export at the time. It is important to note that the Etruscans were of the same stock.
The word of Adonai came to me, son of humanity. Say to the ruler of Tyre, this is what the sovereign Adonai says. In the pride of your heart you say, I am a god. I sit on the throne of a god in the heart of the seas. But you are a mere mortal and not a god, though you think you are as wise as a god. Are you wiser than Daniel? Is no secret hidden from you? By your wisdom and understanding you have gained wealth for yourself and amassed gold and silver in your treasuries. By your great skill in trading you have increased your wealth, and because of your wealth your heart has grown proud. Therefore, thus saith the sovereign Adonai, because you think you are wise as a god, I am going to bring foreigners against you, the most ruthless of nations. They shall draw their swords against your beauty and wisdom, and pierce your shining splendor. They shall bring you down to the pit, and you shall die a violent death in the heart of the seas. Shall you then say, I am a god? In the presence of those who vanquish you? You shall be but a mortal, not a god, in the hands of those who slay you. You shall die the death of the uncircumcised at the hands of foreigners. I have spoken, declares the sovereign Adonai. Ezekiel chapter 28 verses 1 to 10.
Once again, foreigners as Sunni and Shia Muslim immigrants, etc., are flooding the nations, destroying countries that are not their own. They destroy all that is good and replace it with junk, rubbish. What kind of God would allow such an atrocity? Not a good one, that's for sure. We find, to no surprise, that the leader of this proud city was a proud king who said, I am a god, and rightfully so. This god's rebuttal was, yet you are a mortal and not a god, though you have regarded your heart as that of a god. Because he had amassed so much wealth for his realm through remarkable trading skill, this king knew he was wiser than Daniel, but this jealous god had a very ungodly end in store for this so-called haughty monarch. The city's monarch, like the Tyrrhenian people of Tyre, would be dragged down to the pit when the city fell, and he, like all of the Illuminati's enemies, would die the death of the uncircumcised. Who gives a flying rat's a-ho about you and your circumcision? Who does this so-called God think he is? He represents the new world order, as opposed to the old world order of our once pagan paradise.
The word of Adonai came to me, son of humanity. Take up a lament concerning the king of Tyre, and say to him, This is what the sovereign Adonai says. You were the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. You were in the garden of the Elohim. Every precious stone adorned you, carnelian, chrysolite and emerald, topaz, onyx and jasper, lapis lazuli, turquoise and beryl. Your settings and mountings were made of gold. On the day you were created, they were prepared. Ezekiel chapter 28, verses 11 to 13.
The fourth and last oracle against the king of Tyre has been the focus of much attention from commentators. Many people believe that Ezekiel chapter 28 goes beyond the king of Tyre and addresses Lucifer himself. Indeed, the assertions of chapter 28 verses 12 to 19 cannot be applied to just any human ruler, let alone one whom this God has just condemned as a mere mortal with divine pretensions. The power behind this ruler then is the one we are introduced to in these words. This being is Lucifer, who allegedly became Satan after rebelling against God in heaven. However, this is a misconception, as Lucifer and Satan are two different people. Satan is the Hebrew word for the Roman god Saturn, my father. Lucifer was full of intelligence and flawless beauty. He was in the presence of the gods and goddesses in Eden.
You were anointed as a guardian cherub, for so I ordained you. You were on the holy mount of Elohim. You walked amongst the fiery stones. You were blameless in your ways from the day you were created, till wickedness was found in you. Ezekiel chapter 28, verses 14 and 15.
Also, Lucifer wasn't just any angel. He was the highest of the Elohim, an appointed guardian cherub. Lucifer was right in the middle of the fire of the gods and goddesses. As the highest-ranking angel, he stood in the Elohim's presence. He was tasked with leading the entire angelic army in worship and duty. So where did this elevated angel's so-called immorality come from? Lucifer chose to rebel against the God and attempted to steal his authority. He, the cities of the old world, was ejected from heaven and thrown down to the ground as a result of his rebellion. As a result of his rebellion, he was expelled in disgrace from heaven and thrown down to the earth, dirt, ground. One day he will be judged and thrown into the lake of fire and sulfur, tormented day and night forever. Revelation 20 verse 10. This we can clearly see with the melted stones and monuments around the world, which were heated to such a degree that the stones melted like wax. This has already happened. We are in the after times of Revelation. The devil who deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are. And they shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. Through your widespread trade you are filled with violence, and you blundered, so I drove you in disgrace from the mount of Elohim, and I expelled you guardian cherub from among the fiery stone cities. Your heart became proud on account of your beauty, and you corrupted your wisdom because of your splendor, so I threw you, cities, to the earth, ground. I made a spectacle, world fairs, of you before kings and queens. By your many blunders and dishonest trade, you have desecrated your sanctuaries, so I made a fire come out from you and it consumed you, and I reduced you to ashes, the demolishing of the old world structures, on the ground in the sight of all who were watching, at the world fairs, etc. All the nations who knew you are appalled at you. You have come to a horrible end and shall be no more. Ezekiel chapter 28, verses 16 to 19. What did this achieve? The world is still corrupt, in fact, more corrupt than before, and everything looks cheap and ugly. Admittedly, this is a difficult passage to interpret. There are many who believe that this is a description of the account of the original fall of Lucifer. What can we learn? That this achieved nothing but an even worse world than before, with junk everywhere. Not a very smart God, or should I say, libertas. After all, it was never the Illuminati's right to do such a thing to such a beautiful world, which only resulted in more blunder, and more decline, and more immorality. It seems that the king of Tyre was smarter and wiser than Daniel after all. We can learn the following things about this angel. Number 1, full of wisdom, perfect in beauty. This angel, like everything else the Elohim made, was perfect when it was first created. Not only that, but the cities, appeared to be especially attractive. Number 2, this angel lived in Eden. Number 3, anointed cherub that covered. This means that this angel covered the entire earth with its magnificence and splendor. This angel was in charge of all other angels. The cherubim along with the seraphim appeared to be heavenly beings of the greatest degree. The title of anointed cherub denotes the greatest rank among the cherubim. The term that covered reminds us that the cherubim guarded the Ark of the Covenant, which was placed close to the Elohim's presence. All of these factors appear to point to this personage having the greatest rank of any created being in the cosmos. However, it's probable that the anointed cherub isn't describing the person in question, but rather the king of Tyre, whom the anointed cherub was defending. Number 4 was in the Elohim's holy mountain. The statement here refers to the dwelling place of the gods and goddesses, Olympus, their visible glory. This angel was in the Lord's and Lady's close presence. Number 5, walked in the midst of the stones of fire, seemed to speak of the nearness to the Elohim's throne. When Moses brought Aaron and 70 of the elders up to Mount Sinai to see the Elohim's presence, we read the following.
They saw the God of Israel, and there was under his feet as it were a paved work of sapphire stone, and as it were the very heaven for clearness. And the appearance of the glory of Adonai was like devouring fire on top of the mount in the eyes of the children of Israel. Exodus chapter 24, verses 10 to 17.
And there was under his feet as it were a paved work of sapphire stone, and as it were the body of heaven in his clearness. And upon the nobles of the children of Israel he laid not his head also. They saw a God and did eat and drink. Is this description the same as the stones of fire in Ezekiel? If so, it could indicate the nearness this angel had to the throne of the gods and goddesses. Yeah. In a spaceship, because a spaceship goes up in the sky near heaven, the throne of Olympus. Number 6, perfect in all his ways until his fall. The perfection of this creature is again stressed. Number 7, he was lifted up with pride because of his beauty. This creature was hoisted up with pride because of his wonderful beauty. Lucifer was so taken with his own beauty, brilliance, power, and position that he began to crave the respect and glory that apparently only this particular haughty god deserved. I cast you to the ground, I laid you before kings and queens, that they might gaze at you. Number 8, his wisdom was corrupted because of his brightness. The great wisdom of this personage had now been corrupted. They say that it was obviously insane to believe that the creature could defeat the Creator. Number 9, he was thrown out of the mountains of Elohim. He said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. Luke chapter 10 verse 18. Number 10, his position was degraded. This angel, the pagan old world kingdom, would no longer be able to hold such a high position. He will never be referred to as the anointed cherub or any other title he once possessed. Number 11, he became an enemy of humanity. This angel is known as Lucifer, humanity's so-called adversary and foe. An adversary to libertas, the false so-called liberty of the Illuminati New World Order, those sons and daughters of criminals of the French Revolution, those who call themselves the Free Peoples, those who out of jealousy slayed their rightful royalty, robbed us of our crowns and destroyed our once sovereign world to replace it with the spawn of a lower star. Compared to us of the old world, those who commune telepathically with the beyond world, the new rulers only have half a brain. While we see with 2 eyes, the Illuminati only see with 1 eye. The telepathic communication is the real danger to them. The red, white and blue colors of the American flag are the colors of the French Revolution, and represent their conquest. Take its kingdom back from the misguided lies.
Cazzo! Affanculo!
Lucifer is the hero of the story, not the God of Israel. He represents the old world.